right, welcome to the Fragments of Silicon reviews. Before we start, a programming note. Apologies if you are wondering where episode 25B is. The long and short of it is that no longer exists in this or any world because there was a massive technical gaffe, which resulted in about 20 minutes of the interview being erased or being not recorded. And it was decided that that was too much of a lost interview to have it around. So we talked it over with the developers. No hard feelings there, but we'll see if we can't do a redo when that game's further along in development. Right. So apologies for those who missed that, and we're hoping to get the VOD. Now, sometimes these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that in mind, Fragments of Silicon reviews. 2 reviews up this week, and this is also our final review session for the season. We'll be off for a couple weeks, and then we'll be starting season 12 with 4 new reviews. But that's for weeks. Anyway, our first game up this week.
Adam, your mic is
Yeah, it's not sounding great.
yeah.
Hang on.
Okay, that's better. Were you like tilting away from it a lot?
I don't know what happened there.
Okay, you sound fine now. Just mind your possession. I guess I don't know.
Oh. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for interrupting.
Sorry, it's just you were not comprehensible, so we were trying to make sure that you were comprehensible.
Yeah. Well, the microphone settings look fine, so I don't know what happened there. Anyway, 2 games up this week. The first of which is a game called Outbuddies, which is a bit of an odd name for a game. I guess you might be able to call this more review pressions because, well, there will be angry ranting here, and not for the reasons I would have expected. Anyway, Outbuddies is a new Metroidvania-styled game that got released this past Tuesday, if I'm remembering correctly. It's heavy on the Metroid. Like, if you're seeing the trailer footage and you look at screenshots, you're gonna think, yeah, this looks like a Metroid game.
It's Metroid. The mechanically, in terms of finesse and development of the systems, it's somewhere between Metroid and Super Metroid, except you have this drone following you around that does some stuff that is a little bit more advanced.
Yeah.
And then the graphics are very early, like Windows 95-y. To me, it looked, I don't know.
Well, here's the...
It certainly uses the old, like, 18 color or 16 color palette, mostly.
Right. Well,
a lot of harsh cyan and harsh green and stuff.
Yeah, I'd say that's the regular level. Like, when you get to bosses and like such, you'll see
the bosses are more detailed.
Yeah. But here's the secret spice in this ingredient mix: BioShock. That is to say, you are playing a guy with a diving suit on. You're trapped in like some underwater construct, and you've not only got to get out, you've got to save this aquatic-based race who's been trapped by the servants of the old gods for millennia, and that is part of like the gameplay. Fortunately, didn't get to that point, or at least where I actually got started to rescuing the little critters, but or not a bit. Anyway, so since you're wearing a diving suit, the name of this game is Clunky. Yeah. As it turns out, when you've got a diving suit on, you have a lot of heft to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a steam-powered dash, but other than that, you don't move very... And you can run. It's a shoulder button run, but...
You can run, you can roll. Like, guess what you're going to be using a lot to get around?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's their equivalent of the morph ball, a dash roll. You know, though you do stay balled up if you're stuck in a small chamber. You know, like I said, you know, the game is very much Metroid. Like, you know, a very unique interpretation of Metroid, but you know, it's got Metroid all over the enemies, all over the design, the weapon structure. You know, it's like the early weapon structure is bombs, charge beam, missiles. The next power up I was going to get was like the double jump. You know, it's like if you played a Metroid title, if you played a Metroidvania title, you've seen some of these power ups before. Anyway, and in regards to how clunky you feel, at least on land, in the water, you actually feel a lot more svelte, as you'd expect because you're in a diving suit. You know, but the clunkiness isn't just into your movement. Your jumping is actually pretty clunky as well. Like, this game has one of the unequivocally worst wall jumps I've ever experienced. Mainly because the arcing is so odd.
Yeah, you have to press away from the wall. There's no cling or anything. You have to press away from the wall, like, right as you're touching it. It's a little similar to Super Metroids, which I have also... It's actually... I had a little bit of an easier time with this than Super Metroids, but that's because it's not like... What's the word? Animation dependent, because Super Metroid, like, you can only jump away from a wall when you're in a certain frame or something.
Right.
But you still, it's hard to time and tricky to gain as much altitude as you can.
Yeah. Let me see. And probably the most egregious control snafu made in this game is the aiming. Because for whatever fucking reason, you can only aim in really 4 directions. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is just not good.
Yeah, like, it would be a lot easier if you could aim diagonally.
Yeah. It's like, you know, maybe that was part of the design document, but I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, this game really doesn't justify the use of just using the 4 cardinal directions. But yeah, so...
Especially since you can't shoot straight up or down, like, from the center of your sprite. It's from one edge.
Yeah.
Which gets super awkward when you're, like, clinging on a ladder and the edge you're shooting from is significantly far away from the ladder.
Yeah. On the other hand, I think this game had one of the biggest impacts I've ever seen from a 2D action title. And that is quite literal. Like, when you shoot off a charged shot, the entire screen shakes. Your controller will rattle with it. You know, this game does a really good job of conveying the sense of power your weaponry has. You know, it's like, which was quite impressive. Now, particularly the most unique part of this game is your little robot, Sentinel Buddy. In fact, that's where the name's derived from. You know, if you have a second player, you can actually control the robot Sentinel. Forget its name.
And because of how complicated the Robot Sentinel mechanics are, I honestly would kind of recommend that.
Yeah, it is a bit awkward because otherwise you're doing it kind of Lost Viking style. Like, in order to take control of the robot in a single-player game, you gotta flick the right control stick, and then you move it around independently.
Yeah, and you also have to be standing in a safe place too.
Yeah, somebody should really get Knock and Ogre to do this game. Like, seems like the kind of thing that they would enjoy, or maybe not. Like, anyway, so what the robot Sentinel does is a lot of things actually. In the beginning, it's a scanner. It will, you know, it's like it will give you various information points about the world if it can. Like, some of it's really fucking obvious. Like, if you scan some spikes, it will tell you they're deadly. You know, it will do this for some enemies as well. Like, more on that in a bit. Like, your your first major power with the robot buddy is telekinesis, which enables you to do block puzzles. You know,
which are then used for platforming puzzles. Although you can also very conveniently drop them on some enemies sometimes.
Yes, you can. Also, this game, the scanning will show where bombable walls are.
Which is convenient because they're not super visible.
No. On the other hand, you don't have to go around, bombing every fucking thing. Like, But where the game really brings it to the next level is when you collect the 3 Portium power-ups. And that gives the robot, your robot pal, the ability to generate what they call evolutionary seeds. What these do actually is kind of dependent on what the enemy it hits. But like the first thing you will do is you will turn enemies into platforms. That's what that invincible bug is for, by the way.
Yeah, I figured that. I just wasn't sure if you were supposed... Because also if you shoot down, you get a little bit of height off of it, so I wasn't sure if you were supposed to somehow, like, pogo off of them.
Yeah, I had the same thoughts at the same time because, this game is only 5 days old, and, I was playing it pre-release, so there was no fucking walkthroughs, no FAQs, no nothing. I had to do this the old school style, which has its, okay.
And I got lost looking for the charge shot and missiles because I also got lost playing Super Metroid looking for the ice beam, and I had to get a guide to figure out that you could go through that section of door.
Yeah. Right. So that's a pretty succinct overview of the game. Like I said, I only played about 5 hours, or in gameplay completion terms, up to the first major boss. The bosses in this game are no fucking joke. It's like, because another problem with the game is you can only take up about 5 hits.
Yeah, your life gauge is a heart with a circle around it that cycles through colors and amount of circle around it. And I believe, the 6th hit kills you or so.
Yeah, it's not a good system for a Metroidvania game.
The only way it also changes the color of the what's the ear thingies on your suit.
Right, that's less important. But anyway, so I got up to the first major boss. Thing frustrated me. I quit to gather self. When you're, I'm sure everyone here's rage quit at one point or another. Come back. And I accidentally selected a new game, because this is the thing I've been alluding to. So one of the worst pieces of design I have seen in quite some time, for whatever reason, the new game stays atop when you start a game. It's the first option, and this is no bueno in today's design because, especially since if you start a new game in this with the same save file, it erases your save file. It doesn't do it until, it doesn't wait until you overwrite the save. When saving, it does that automatically. No, this was bad. This needs to be patched. You need to have the continue option up fucking top. It's like I played another Metroidvania style game to compare notes here, and that game had it the right way. It's like I will say, they do have a warning, but it's one click. It's like 2 clicks and you've overwritten your save. And you're distracted like I was because still kind of mad at that boss. 5 hours of work into dust. Like, this is the kind of scene I would expect from 1990, not 2019. So that's kind of where it ends in terms of my Outbuddies playing.
Your volume is going janky again.
Okay, how about now?
That's fine. Is it just that you like leaning back away from your microphone or something?
No, I'm not sure. It shouldn't be doing anything. Anyway, let's see. I suppose the last major thing to touch upon is the music. Surprisingly forgettable for a Metroidvania title.
The intro scene is super loud and not turn downable, apparently.
That's unfortunate.
Like, I literally went to options to turn down the volume and then went into the game and it started the intro scene at like full volume, and then it got quieter once I got to actual gameplay.
Anyway, so we've reached the price point. This game will normally clock in at $17.99, but it's on 15% discount, at least on Steam, for $15.29. It's like, this is an adequate range for a game of this stature and size. Definitely seems like a more meaty Metroidvania experience than you typically get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like a pretty good game. Just, be careful of your save files.
Yeah, that and once again, this game is actually rather clunky. Evaluating everything together, I'd say it's a 6 out of 10. Like, this game should have been better than it is. But
I might go a little higher than that, but also I'm not the one who got his save data deleted, so.
If we're throwing the save data in, it's a fucking 4 out of 10. Like,
okay,
that's below par in terms of the design. That absolutely shouldn't be a thing. But I'm talking about the actual gameplay experience. I wasn't really enjoying myself previous to this. I think it's because of how clunky you control. Like, I get what they were going for here, but clunk is just not a good look for a fucking Metroidvania title. But anyway, so that'll about do it for Outbuddies here. Be sure to tune in after the break, as we will be doing a pre-release review of Ghost Grab 3000.